Hello guys, bit of a different video today. It's going to be sort of a rant about the Way of Blue, the Blue Sentinels and the Blades of the Darkmoon Covenants in Dark Souls 3. I'm just going to have some gameplay in the background which is pretty representative of what you can expect if you join in these covenants. The Blue Sentinel Talisman reads, when a member of the Way of Blue is threatened by a dark spirit, the Blue Sentinels, in compliance with an ancient accord, assume the form of blue spirits to help root out the leader. Sounds good, doesn't it? The concept behind the Sentinels is great. Oh, and when I say Sentinels, I'm referring to both the Blue Sentinels and the Blades of the Darkmoon because they're pretty much the same fucking thing. Anyway, yeah, the concept is great, but yet again in the Soulsborne franchise, the execution of it completely sucks and it does not work. In my 100 plus hours of playtime across the Western and Japanese releases, I've not once been summoned in as a blue spirit, and it's not through lack of trying. So why doesn't it work? Why do the blues rarely get summoned? And I believe that it comes down to the fact that it requires the stars to align in a certain way, and they just rarely do. First of all, and this is the core of the problem, fuck the Way of Blue. I don't think it's a secret that Dark Souls as a franchise is challenging, and for the most part the people who play the games relish the challenge. By swearing yourself to the Way of Blue, you tell the world that you are a filthy casual and that you cannot handle the challenges that the game throws at you. In Dark Souls 2 the official name was even the Way of the Meek, meaning quiet, gentle, easily imposed on and submissive, which is something I imagine most Souls players try to avoid. Not only this, but the Covenant has no tangible reward. There's no goal and there's no prize other than the protection from the big blues. Even though it's been made more convenient to switch to the Covenant than it was in earlier installments of the series now that you can do it on the fly, I still only pledged myself to it as I was testing the stuff for this video. Now I've always thought of the Reds and Blues as a sort of cops and robbers type scenario. The Red Spirits are obviously the criminals and the Blues are the police. The criminals' aim is to invade, pillage and kill in other people's worlds and then take their embers and their tongues back to their world, while the police's goal is to prevent them or, and this is my opinion, if they can't stop them in the act, to punish them for their crimes later. For some reason there's no longer an option to invade the worlds of sinners. Rather than being given options on how you want to fight the Reds, you're pigeonholed into the auto-summons, which are unreliable at best and non-existent at worst. Now I read the Dark Souls 3 subreddit quite a lot, and there seems to be a number of users there that feel that invasions are skewed too much into the favour of the host rather than the invader. In some ways I agree and some I don't. It's a very different playing field depending on your perspective. The biggest thing that tips me over to disagreeing is that the host is forced to bear all the risk. They lose souls, humanity, progress and potential progress as well, since most people tend to put the brakes on fighting tougher enemies when there's a dark spirit around. If they win they get a couple of Estus uses back, a few measly souls and then they can continue. It's rarely a profitable encounter for the host, while other than the time spent it is always profitable for the spirit. So why am I rambling on about this? Back when Dark Souls 2 was relatively new, I read similar thoughts about the Blue Eye Orb saying that punishing invaders was unfair and it disincentivized them from invading in the first place, which to me seems pretty silly. I think if you go around invading everyone's worlds, you can be a bit of a dick sometimes, which is fine, that is literally the point of invading, but I feel there needs to be some sort of justice, and this came in the form of the Blue Eye Orbs, where the more you invade, the more likely you were to get invaded by Blue Sentinels. I think it's entirely fair. I don't know why it was removed. It creates a way better rivalry and dynamic between the Covenants, and let's face it, Red Invaders do need to be slapped around a little bit and get a little bit of a taste of their own medicine. Next, and this applies to all the Covenants with invasions and being summoned, there's no concrete official information about the ranges we can be summoned and invade into. The community generally does a great job of figuring it out, but there's a bit of a spanner thrown into the works this time in that things like weapon enhancement play into it and it's not just related to soul memory or your soul level. Can we help people with lower plus weapons than us? We supposedly can't invade if our enhancements are too high. Does it go up in increments? If I +2 a weapon, can I no longer invade or help someone with a +1 weapon? Does it matter how many Estus uses I have? And how does queuing work? Is it a first come first served basis? Say you're level 30 and there's a level 25 Way of Blue member needing help. you've been queued for 10 minutes, and then about a minute ago a level 28 Blue Sentinel started queuing. Does he get in before you because he's a more appropriate level, or do you get in before him because you've been queuing for longer? We're probably not going to have an easy time figuring it out because there's more than one variable this time. When you invade, however, you can tell pretty much straight away if there's a problem and you're too high in some respect for an area. You simply won't invade within a minute or two. The Blue Sentinel doesn't know this. It could just be that there's no trouble for you to stop. It could very likely not be functioning properly. It's an issue that I've encountered and that has been brought up on the subreddit a lot. Auto summons for the Blue Sentinels and the Watchdogs of Farron do not work. Auto summons for the Aldrich Faithful, however, and I and quite a few other people can attest to this. I barely have time to take the Talisman off before I get summoned again into another world. It's crazy, it's non-stop, even when I think I'm under the same sort of conditions. I actually made a character specifically for the Watchdogs. I rushed straight there, didn't enhance my weapon to test if it was going to work because I couldn't get it to work on my main. I was about level 20 when I joined, kept the Talisman on, waited maybe 20 minutes, nothing. Went and leveled to 25, maybe I was too low a level. Did the same thing, nothing. Same to 30, still nothing, and I just gave up in the end. Dark Souls hasn't really had a good reputation when it comes to constant and reliable online play. In Dark Souls 2, the name engraved rings barely worked. Even when all conditions were met, you had to piss around for 5 to 10 minutes just for the sign to show up. And the same is true in Dark Souls 3 when setting a password in the options, though I've not had quite so many issues, but they're definitely still there. So I think it's fairly reasonable to assume that maybe auto summons aren't working properly either. Somewhere down the line something's gone wrong and very few people are being summoned in to help, which is now the sole objective of the Blue Covenants without the Blue Invasions. But since we don't have any concrete information on what the summon ranges and requirements are, how would we even know? It's likely actually just a combination of these things. Maybe some people have a technical issue, some people are out of the level range, and all in all, no one really gets to participate in blue summons. Now, I don't think that I'm naive enough to think that this sort of video would make any changes to the game. It's more just a way to relay my thoughts and frustrations with the current system, and sort of to see if people are in agreement as well. That said, what do I think would be some nice changes to the system? First of all, it needs to be even easier to summon people in than it is. No way of the blue, scrap it, it sucks. Have an option somewhere that you can toggle independent of covenants and easily accessible, saying when you get invaded by a dark spirit, do you want a blue spirit to come and help you out, yes or no? This would probably be the biggest help in the long-term health of the covenant. Failing that, have some sort of consumable that you can use to call in blue spirits, just like there's the red eye orb. If they get invaded, the host can use this item and the Blue Sentinel will come running. Or, last option for Way of Blue, when you get invaded, you can't actually change your covenant until the invader is gone. Maybe if they allowed people to change to Way of Blue whilst an invader has come, since it's one of those things where you don't really think you need it until it's too late. If they gave the option to turn it on later, then I think that people would see way more action. Secondly, bring back blue invasions. Punish the sinners, give the blue something to do instead of just waiting and farming souls until they're out of the range of the area. I can't count the number of zones I've cleared completely, and oh look, at the end of it I haven't been summoned again. On to the next zone, lads. It's boring and eventually everyone is just going to give up being blue. Lastly, and this may sound a little bit weird, but we need to incentivize red invasions. If there are no issues with connecting from world to world, then it's plausible that part of the issue is that there are too many blues compared to the number of reds. How do they do this? Offer differing rewards, titanite, gems, more souls, whatever, just give people more reason to invade other worlds. I feel like some people, myself included, until it was the only way to consistently play PvP, feel bad about invading. Wave a shiny prize at them and they'll be more likely to go, hey, I know it's bad, but look at the loot. More red invasions means more blue rescues, and honestly I haven't been invaded enough. Ooh, one last point, take these 3 covenants and make them into one. Why is the Blades of the Dark Moon even a covenant? It's the same thing with an extra covenant added on as a rival. Why does it need to be a different covenant? They take up a third of the covenants and they're all essentially useless. And the Way of Blue offers no rewards, and the Dark Moon and the Blue Sentinels have the same rewards and share the rank. It's just dumb if you ask me. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on the blue covenants. I'd be interested to know what you guys think about them, so pop any thoughts in the comment section. Hope you found the video a little bit interesting, whether you agree or not. As always, thanks for watching guys, and take care.